Hello, hello, and welcome to another story time brought to you by ABC Read and ABC Learn, in which we are here to help you develop and nurture that love of reading in every child as well as every adult. How are you all doing out there today, evening, night, whatever time of day it is, in the middle of the afternoon, whatever time of day it is, whatever the weather is, wherever you are around the globe? I hope that you all are doing readerific. All right. So I hope that you all are having a great reading terrific day. All right. And I hope that you all have read or you're planning to read for at least 30 minutes. Y'all, that's what's up. And before, look, y'all like that? Before we get started with our read aloud, I wanted to share with you guys another reading aloud benefit, which is reading aloud is a great conversation starter. All right. And, we can't stress that enough when it comes to reading aloud. Like, for example, if you decide to read a story to your children, about friendship, that's a great way to talk about what does it mean to be a friend. Asking your children, do you think you are a good friend? Do you have a good friend? So these are, great ways to talk about different things that, especially with our young people, that they're dealing with on a day to day basis. And also reading at the dinner table. All right. So, you may not read a whole book, say you may read a chapter out of a book or something along that nature. But nevertheless, it's a great way to have a great conversation and it's surrounded around literacy. All right. That's what's up, y'all. So, bam! Here's our story. Here's our story. I'm feeling a little tongue tied right now. Here's our story for today. And that says Shaquille O'Neal, Little Shaq. And it's illustrated by Theodore Taylor III. All right. And it's written by, guess what? This brother here, Shaquille O'Neal. That's right. Who is Shaquille O'Neal? Come on, y'all know who he is, right? For those of you who don't know, he is, of course, a retired basketball player. But one of the cool things that I am like so happy about is that he did not just put himself in a box and say, I want you just to remember me by the fact that I play basketball. He said, oh no. He said, oh no, I am going to promote literacy. And in particular, I like the fact that, of course, again, you see another African American or brown little boy here on the cover. These things right here are valuable right there. Our children, in particular our black and brown children, they need to see characters that represent them, that look like them. And I appreciate Brother Shaquille O'Neal making sure that he does that and being conscious of that, getting in that children's literacy space. So that's awesome. He said, you're not just going to put me in a box and say that, oh, okay, you just good for basketball. He said, no, I can write books, okay? And it reminds me of a quote really quickly that I'm going to say that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said, who, by the way, is another retired basketball player. And he said, and I apologize, of course, the quote was, let's see, where is that quote? Here we go. Here we go. He said this. He said, I can do something else besides stuff a ball through a hoop. My biggest resource is my mind. Now, this is coming from another retired basketball player, okay? So again, I love to see, these basketball players because majority of basketball players are black, okay? And I'm glad to see that they said, hey, look, we are not just going to teach our children that, oh, okay, go ahead and get that basketball, dribble that, and, you'll be successful. He said, no, my biggest resource is my mind, all right? And that's why we promote literacy here on our channel, because we know that when our children can read, they can do anything they put their minds to. All right, so let's get started. With this book, I'm just going to read chapter 1. There are 3 chapters. And this book right here is just talking about, actually chapter 1 It's called Slam Dunk. And so, just talking about basically little Shaq, and his basketball, journey, if you will, or I won't even say journey, maybe just, the different trials and things that he's going through, when involving, him being on the basketball team. All right. So this is chapter 1, and it's called Slam Dunk. Little Shaq dribbled the basketball, bouncing it up and down. He moved his feet from side to side. His sneakers squeaked against the court. "Come on, little Shaq, pass me the ball," his cousin Barry shouted. Barry's voice sounded far away. The game clock was down to 5 seconds. If little Shaq scored this basket, his team would win the game. I'm open, Barry yelled. Little Shaq took a deep breath. The clock ticked down. 3, 2. Little Shaq's friend, Walter Skipple, raised his arms to block the ball, but he wasn't fast enough. With one quick leap, little Shaq shot the ball into the air. It flew off his fingertips toward the basket. Swish! The ball slid through the net just as the buzzer sounded. Beep! "Nothing but net," little Shaq cheered. "We won!" "Great shot, little Shaq," said Walter. "Next time, you're on my team." Little Shaq looked around the gym to say good game to Barry, but he couldn't find him anywhere. "Nice effort, everyone," Coach Mackin said. "See you all here tomorrow." Little Shaq ran to get his backpack from the bench. His next door neighbor, Rosa Lindy, was sitting in the bleachers. "Did you see where Barry went?" he asked her. Rosa looked up from her book of puzzles. She shook her head no. Little Shaq sighed. Whenever Barry left the game by himself, he was mad about something. Outside, Barry kicked at the dirt along the edge of the rec center's dried up garden. He was waiting for Nana Ruth to pick them all up. "There you are, Barry," little Shaq called. Barry didn't answer and turned his head away. Little Shaq felt his tummy sink. Barry wasn't only mad, he was mad at little Shaq. On the drive home, Rosa chatted with Nana Ruth, but Barry just stared out the window. Little Shaq knew he had to do something. He tried making funny faces. He tried making silly noises. He tried everything. Nothing would make Barry talk. "Hey, Barry," little Shaq said finally. "Want to play Ultimate Pro Jams when we get to my house?" Ultimate Pro Jams was little Shaq's and Barry's favorite basketball video game. "You can be player 1, he added, hoping this would cheer Barry up. "Really?" Barry asked, turning around. Player 1 got to name the team and pick the jerseys. Being player 1 was the best. "Sure," said little Shaq. Barry thought for a moment. While Nana Ruth parked outside little Shaq's house. "Well, okay," he replied. Little Shaq and Barry ran inside and changed their clothes before heading to the family room. Rosa had already snuggled onto the sofa with her book. "Let's name our team the O'Neill Tigers," said little Shaq. Little Shaq and Barry had the same last name, so the first part was easy, but they didn't always agree on the mascot. Little Shaq liked cats, and Barry liked birds. But Barry is player 1, so he gets to pick the name," said Rosa. Besides, you were the Tigers 2 games ago. Rosa was the smartest girl in Little Shaq's class. She had a great memory. Sometimes Little Shaq just wished that she didn't remember everything. Tigers are the coolest, Rosa, Little Shaq replied. They're the kings of the jungle. That's lions, Barry laughed. Barry typed O'Neill Falcons onto the screen and pressed play. Their team started out with the ball. Barry's player dribbled it down the court, but the defense came on strong. Watch out! Little Shaq shouted as the player reached in and stole the ball, taking it back the other way. You gotta protect the ball, Barry, he said. I know, Barry replied. Here, watch me, Little Shaq said as his player grabbed the ball from Barry's after a rebound. Little Shaq turned his players back to the defense and moved him down the court. I did that before, Barry said, and I could do lots of things that you can't. Oh, yeah, said Little Shaq. Well, I bet you can't do this. Little Shaq gripped his controller tight and hit 2 buttons at once. His player soared across the court, high into the air, and reached for the net. With another push of a button, Little Shaq spun his player around and jammed the ball through the basket. Slam dunk, Little Shaq shouted. Forget it, Barry yelled. I don't want to play anymore. I was just trying to win, Little Shaq said. Let's start another game. It's no fun watching you play, Barry said. You never let me shoot. Barry threw his controller down hard. It bounced off a toy truck and smashed right into the game console. Barry looked up at Shaq, his eyes wide. Little Shaq pulled the game out of the machine. Look what you did, Little Shaq yelled. You broke it. Who broke what? Little Shaq's dad said, coming into the room. Barry and Little Shaq both started to talk at once. Rosa, can you tell me what happened? Dad asked. Sure, she said. Barry maybe accidentally broke the video game. See? Little Shaq shouted. But, Rosa went on, it was kind of Little Shaq's fault too. Ha, Barry said. Okay, said Dad. Rosa, why don't you go fetch Malia and Tater for dinner? Dad sat down between Little Shaq and Barry and put his arms around their shoulders. Little Shaq closed his eyes tight. He hated fighting. Whenever he fought with his older sister Malia, she always won. And fighting with his younger brother Tater was even worse. But fighting with Barry was the worst of all. Little Shaq breathed in Dad's woodsy scent and felt a little better. It was my favorite game, Little Shaq said in a quiet voice. Barry should have to buy me a new one. But it seems like you both were at fault, son, said Dad. You don't think so? Little Shaq thought about the game at the rec center. Suddenly he remembered Barry calling for the ball on the court, and he thought about the slam dunk from the video game. Little Shaq's tummy sank for the second time that day. Barry was right. Little Shaq never let him shoot. Little Shaq turned to his cousin. I'm sorry for hogging the ball, he said. It's okay, Barry replied. I'm sorry for breaking the game. Dad patted them both on the back. But what about the video game? Little Shaq asked. It's still broken. Well, said Dad, if you boys want a new game, you'll have to work together to earn it. Little Shaq looked over at Barry. He didn't know how they were going to do that. All right, you guys. Ooh, wee. This story is going to get juicy. I like this. How about you guys? You all see the problem, what had occurred, right? How you had little Shaq, he was forgetting that he was a part of a basketball team. And he got a little bit overzealous and, kind of full of himself, right? He started thinking like, hey, I'm the man. I'm the one who could do this, right? And so his cousin Barry had to remind him that, hey, wait a minute, we are part of a team. And even during the interaction of them playing the video game together. And so what I like about that chapter is it showed how, sometimes you have to go through some conflicts and some different, confrontations in order to get a problem resolved, right? So there was that issue there. And once they got through that conflict, and then I like how the dad came on the scene, talked to the young brothers, and got them to be able to see what had happened. Now they got to work together. So, guys, I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope you all come back for chapter 2 so we can find out how little Shaq and Barry, how they're going to make that money so they can buy another video game. All right, y'all. I hope you all like, subscribe, and share our videos. And remember to keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Happy reading, family.